When Kevin and Dalton arrived on campus for orientation at the Chicago School of the Healing Arts, they were a little late. They hurried over to their assigned building to join the rest of their orientation group. Thanks to Kevin's restoration pill, Dalton was recovering well, but he was still a little unsteady on his feet. As Kevin looked around at all the staff members, he wondered, how the hell am I supposed to steal that formula when there are so many powerful people here? Could the director be deliberately setting me up? Just then, a familiar voice drew his attention away from his distressing thoughts. It was Lily walking up to him and calling his name excitedly. "I knew you'd be here," Lily exclaimed as she took Kevin by the arm and whispered in his ear. "Kevin, please don't be angry with me. I know I messed up, but I promise I'll never do anything like that again." Kevin didn't answer her. He just gave her a cold stare.
"Hi, Lily. I didn't expect you to be here, too. What a happy coincidence," Dalton remarked as he gave her a big smile.
"Dalton Steele? Are you feeling better now?" Lily asked him in shock. The last time she'd laid eyes on Dalton was after Nolan and his men had beaten him up. She'd never expected that he would recover so quickly.
"I'm doing a lot better. With the help of the pill Kevin gave me, I'm almost fully recovered," Dalton replied as he flexed his arms. Not only did the restoration pill cure his injuries to his arms and legs, it also helped heal all his scars. "I'm so sorry, Dalton. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have ended up in the hospital." Lily lowered her head and said guiltily, "That's okay. No harm done. Look, I'm back on my feet again," Dalton explained to her. "Besides, how could I let my best friend's wife be bullied and not step in, even if it means risking my life?"
Lily smiled faintly when she heard him say that, but it upset her to no end to see that Kevin was still ignoring her. Lily had been thinking about a lot of things over the past few days. First of all, how did Kevin suddenly know so many important and powerful people? And how was he able to bring in so many men to help him fight Nolan's bodyguards at the hotel the other day? Plus, she still didn't know why Kevin had been arrested by the police. None of it made any sense to her at all. "Please don't be upset with me, Kevin. How can I convince you that I won't make a mistake like this ever again?" Lily pleaded awkwardly. Kevin pulled his arm away from her. He was really getting angry now. Ever since his family had rejected him a few years ago, Kevin hadn't had any real friends. Everyone thought that he was just a freeloader living off the Jones family's money, and they all looked down on him. Kevin was starting to think that friendship was bullcrap, but ever since he met Dalton, he knew the true meaning of the word brother. However, because of Lily, he'd almost lost his brother, so Kevin really didn't know how to let go of it and move on. Dalton could see that Kevin wasn't happy, so he tactfully stepped aside to give the two of them some privacy. Suddenly, they heard someone nearby mocking Kevin loudly. "Say, isn't that the bum who's been mooching off the Jones family?" Sherwin Blair walked up, holding hands with Officer Emmett. He said to Kevin disdainfully, "Of course. Now you can't sponge off them anymore, can you? Even your wife has been kicked out of the family. How will you ever survive?" "That's enough, Sherwin. I told you not to start any trouble with Kevin." Officer Emmett snapped at him. As a member of the Chicago Police Department, she naturally couldn't attend the school, but she happened to have the day off, so she decided to visit the campus with her fiancé. "I can't believe you're still standing up for this trash, Kelly." "Anyway, I'm only telling the truth," Blair said loudly. "This guy is a complete waste of space. I really don't know how he was ever accepted here." Sherwin's insulting comments attracted the attention of the people around them. By now, a lot of them had already recognized Kevin. After all, he could be considered a kind of celebrity among the Chicago elite because of his reputation in the Jones family over the past few years. They all started to whisper to each other. Some of them were wondering how someone like him could have gotten into the elite program. Others thought it would be embarrassing to be in the same class as Kevin. What they couldn't figure out was how he had become such good friends with Dalton Steele. Kevin could hear what they were saying, and it ticked him off a little. But he managed to keep his composure and simply replied, "Well, I'm here to go to school. Do you have a problem with that? Kick me out if you think you can do it. Otherwise, just shut your face." "You're so low class. What makes you think you can talk to me like that?" Blair snarled at him. "What's wrong? I know you didn't think much of me, but now we're in the same class, so I guess that means you're low class too," Kevin said with a sneer. I didn't know you could express yourself so well. But if you think you and I are equals in any way, then—" Blair was about to finish what he was saying when Dalton interrupted him.
"Are you done yet?"
Dalton barked as he gave him a hard slap on the face. The onlookers were shocked to see their argument turn physical. Blair didn't dare to take Dalton on head-to-head. He stammered, "But Dalton, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking about that scum Kevin."
"Don't you know that Kevin is my brother?"
Dalton bellowed as he shoved Blair in the chest, knocking him to the ground. The students who were standing around them didn't say a word. After all, Dalton had a nasty reputation and they didn't want to get on his bad side. Seeing that Dalton was about to hit Blair again, Kevin stopped him and reminded him, "Let's not get carried away, Dalton. It's beneath our dignity to fight with someone like this. Let's just teach him a little lesson." Just as Blair was getting up again, Kevin gave him a swift kick in the butt, which sent him rolling over and over on the floor. "I'm sorry, Mr. Blair. I don't know why my leg keeps cramping up lately," Kevin taunted him. "You're playing with fire," Blair growled as he gritted his teeth and glared at Kevin.
"What are you gonna do? Run home and tell your mommy?"
Dalton jeered as he stared him down. Officer Emmett couldn't take any more of this. She stepped forward and put Blair behind her. Then she warned, "Kevin and Dalton, that's enough. Is that how you behave in a place like this?" Very few people knew that Officer Emmett and Dalton were actually mortal enemies. As far as she was concerned, Dalton was evil incarnate. He'd caused a lot of trouble in Chicago over the years. Since Officer Emmett was part of the crime task force, she dealt with Dalton far more than she wanted. However, Dalton was too smart and he never let Officer Emmett catch him in the act. She was always a step behind him. "Officer Emmett, as a police officer, you shouldn't be biased just because Sherwin's your fiancé. You just saw what happened with your own eyes. Tell me, who was it that went too far?" Kevin retorted unhappily. Kevin knew that Officer Emmett owed him a favor for what he had done to help her infiltrate the Myriads, and he'd assisted her in other ways too, so she knew what kind of man he was.
"All right, for Kevin's sake, I won't argue with you right now. If you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of yours,"
Dalton conceded, but he still gave her a dirty look. Blair covered his face with his hand and struggled to come back to his senses. Dalton's slap had almost knocked him out. Just as Officer Emmett was about to say something else, Kevin had already walked away with Dalton. The school's alert system had just sent out a text to let all the students know that they had to be in their assigned classrooms within 5 minutes. On the way to class, Kevin stopped in the men's room, so he was a minute or so behind Dalton. When he entered the class, Dalton stood up and waved at him to take a seat next to him. "Why are we sitting in the last row?" Kevin asked with a slight frown.
"This school's main purpose isn't really book learning. What's more important is talent and seizing opportunities, so there's no point in sitting in the front row," Dalton answered as he put his foot up on the seat in front of him. Just then there was a murmur as the students saw a very striking young woman walk into the room. As they all watched in fascination, Penny Sutherland sat down in the back row. "Geez, Dalton, now I know why you sat way back here," Kevin ribbed his friend as he stared at Penny, who had found a spot just a few seats away from them. "I have my moments," Dalton answered with a broad smile.
Dalton was usually careless, but sometimes he could do unexpected things that worked out for him. When he saw that Penny would be in the same class as him, he knew that someone like her wouldn't be interested in interacting with the other students. He figured she'd sit in the last 2 rows. "Smart, Dalton, smart," Kevin remarked as he gave him a thumbs up. Just as the students settled in, the professor walked into the classroom. From her appearance, she looked to be around 27 or 28 years old, and she looked very unapproachable. "Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Grace Murdock, and I'll be your instructor for the next 4 years," she announced somberly. "The first thing that we need to do is to discuss our rules. There are a lot of very rich students here from some of the city's most prestigious families. That doesn't matter anymore. From now on, you'll only have one identity, and that is the student of the School for the Healing Arts. If you forget that and fall out of line, I'll make sure that you're expelled," she informed them in a very serious tone. "What do you mean by fall out of line?" one of the students blurted out. "If I think my teacher is very good looking, I can ask her out, can't I?" Some people from wealthy families are used to saying things without consequences. This guy still hadn't learned when to keep his mouth closed. Suddenly, Professor Murdock slammed her book on the desk, and the entire classroom suddenly fell silent. With a very sour look on her face, Professor Murdock walked over to the person who had disrupted the class and asked him, "What's your name?" "My name is Chase Rogers. Are you free on Friday night?" The young man answered confidently. "The heir to the Chicago hotel chain?" Professor Murdock asked coldly. "That's me," Chase admitted proudly. The Rogers family wasn't quite as well off as the Steele family, but they still were considered to be very wealthy. "Well, Mr. Rogers, you are hereby officially expelled from the School for the Healing Arts," Professor Murdock informed him in a very dignified tone. "Why are you doing this?" Chase was stunned. "You're a smart aleck and you're disrespectful. Now you can serve as an example to your former classmates." Professor Murdock explained to him. She didn't have the time or the inclination to deal with nonsense like this. She took Chase's backpack, opened the window, and threw it out. Everyone was stunned when they saw her do this. The look on his face was priceless. Then she turned to Chase and told him, "You can pick up your backpack on your way off campus." Professor Murdock's expression didn't change at all. She returned to the podium and said to everyone very sternly, "If you listen to me, you'll do well here. I will not put up with any disruptions or lack of respect, either for me or your fellow students. Otherwise, I guarantee that you won't be here very long." Nobody said a word. They just sat quietly, afraid to draw any attention to themselves. "There's one more thing," she continued as she looked from one side of the classroom to the other. "There was a fight on campus a little while ago. That wasn't the best decision for the first day of school." Everyone kept quiet, but they couldn't help looking over at Dalton and Kevin in the back row. They knew exactly what Professor Murdock was talking about. Kevin looked down at his desk, hoping that she wouldn't notice him, but Dalton remained calm. He even looked around as if he didn't know who the professor was talking about. Everyone was wondering what Professor Murdock would say next.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.